Welcome back, fight fans. In today's video, Dana White sounds off on Islam being the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world.
For anybody to call Islam the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world when Jon Jones is still fucking fighting is nuts and shouldn't be ranking in the pound-for-pound or doing any of the fucking rankings ever.
We look at what's next for Dustin Poirier and if this is truly it for the Diamond. Alexander Volkanovski makes a challenge to Dustin Poirier.
So if the timing works, maybe me and Dustin can, maybe have a good fight. I know he's like sort of, just wants good, fun fights. Obviously, we've got a lot of respect for each other, and I think that'll be a massive fight, so that's something that I'll be willing to do.
Stay tuned because there's plenty more in today's video, so don't be scared, homie. Knock out the like button and subscribe to the channel. And in the words of Big John McCarthy, let's get it all! Dana White says that while he respects the accomplishments of Islam Makhachev, any discussion of him being the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world while Jon Jones is still active on the roster is ridiculous.
Right here. Joe Rogan on the broadcast called Islam the perfect lightweight, and they're just the size, his style of fighting, just his fight IQ. I'm curious, where do you rank him in this pantheon of lightweights that we've seen over the years?
Yeah, I think he's, one of the greatest of all time. I think he's incredible. I don't think he's the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. For anybody to call Islam the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world when Jon Jones is still fucking fighting is nuts and shouldn't be ranking in the pound-for-pound or doing any of the fucking rankings ever, if that's what you really think. Jon Jones has never lost a fight, ever. He's fought all the baddest dudes in the world. And then when you think about what pound-for-pound rankings really mean, he moved up to heavyweight and destroyed the best guy in the world. As long as Jon Jones is still fighting, active, and in the rankings, yeah, nobody's pound-for-pound best fighter in the world.
Well, to kind of go off that, Islam said he wanted that second belt. He wanted to go to welterweight. Is that something that, I know you have that welterweight title fight coming up, is that something maybe you'll discuss with him, or do you want him to stick at lightweight?
I don't know. I mean, he hasn't said anything like that to us, so we'll see.
Just to go back to Islam, he's now on a 14-fight winning streak, which is the third longest in history behind Anderson Silva and Usman. What would it take for him to surpass Jon Jones in your mind for that pound-for-pound #1?
I mean, when you think about what pound for pound really means, right? He fought Volkanovski, who's a weight class lower than him. Jon Jones beat everybody at light heavyweight, then beat the best heavyweight in the division like it was nothing at a higher weight class.
So,
Jon Jones is absolutely positively the pound for pound best fighter in the world, probably the greatest fighter of all time in any sport. When you talk about who's the baddest dude in the world, you put two guys in a room and who walks out, Jon Jones walks out of the fucking room every time. No question about it.
Yeah. And in no way trying to diminish Jon's accomplishments, but he's fought once in the last however many years. Islam's fighting multiple times a year, defending. So at what point does activity outweigh Jon's?
Beautiful. I like that you asked that question. Let's talk about activity. 3 years off. Nobody, not even Ali. Nobody's ever come from 3 years off and looked the same. Jon Jones walked through the #1 guy in the heavyweight division like it was nothing with 3 years off. Yeah, Jon Jones is the best ever. Ever. And when I say ever, I mean in any combat sport. He's the best ever. You throw Jon Jones in a room with anybody, Jon Jones walks out of the room.
Jon's saying he's fighting Stipe November 9th in New York. Is that fine?
I love it.
Yeah, nothing's official yet though, obviously.
Yeah, I'm in.
Islam Makhachev wasn't happy with Dana White after he claimed that Jon Jones was still his #1 pound-for-pound best fighter in the UFC. For fans who have followed Makhachev's recent career, they'll know that a big motivator for the Russian juggernaut is being top of the pound-for-pound rankings, and the comments from White certainly didn't sit well with the champion. Speaking at the UFC 302 post-fight press conference, Makhachev said that White should be thanking him for saving the card and that the fans were falling asleep at the Prudential Center after a string of boring decisions.
Dana was in here a few minutes ago and we were asking him about you, and he was very adamant saying you're not the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world and that Jon Jones is. And I was trying to push back, being like, you're much more active than Jon Jones, you're fighting more. And he said, no, it's Jon Jones. What do you think about that?
I don't know. Maybe it's his opinion. But I think I saved this card today because all these fights boring and the whole arena almost sleep. And we show with Dustin great performance. Then give me 2 bonuses. Before I remember when I have first contract, I'm happy when I have bonus, but now it's okay.
After last night's title defense, where do you put Islam Makhachev on the pound-for-pound list? Has he done enough to solidify himself as the pound-for-pound king? Or is Dana White right and he has a long way to go? Tell us in the comments below.
And I'm not 100%, but if this is my last fight, I wanted to dedicate this journey to the people who made me the man I am, and that's the women in my life. To my grandmother, I miss you every day. And I know I'm still protected by your prayers. To my mother, we've had a crazy life. I love you, thanks for always having my back. And to my wife, I love you so much. I wouldn't be standing right here without you. And babe, Jolie, I don't know if I'd be breathing, honestly, if it wasn't for you. And to Parker, daddy's mine, I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. We all right, baby. Always chase your dreams. It's a beautiful thing.
You're an incredible man, Dustin Poirier. Thank you very much for everything. Dustin Poirier, ladies and gentlemen.
Dustin Poirier refused to close the door on his legendary MMA career after losing his final chance at Undisputed Gold. The former interim lightweight champion had never been able to claim the full 155-pound title heading into his bout with Islam Makhachev in the main event at UFC 302 in Newark. And in the case of tasting defeat at the third time of asking, he was expected to retire in the octagon. And while he did flirt with the idea, he was unclear about whether or not he'll compete again after an iconic 40-fight run. The beloved American has headlined around the world against all the greatest fighters and was part of many of the company's biggest pay-per-view events. Fans were more than eager to see the Diamond finally etch his name into the history books at the Prudential Center. Even former President Donald Trump couldn't miss the fight. But it wasn't to be. Despite a valiant effort that saw him stuff a number of his rivals' takedown attempts and cause serious damage to the dominant champion. The entire pre-fight build-up was based on the idea that Poirier would be hanging up the gloves in case of a loss. After 3 failed attempts at winning gold and heading past the age of 35, he is highly unlikely to get another shot at the sport's most coveted prize. But while he did make something of a retirement speech, he wasn't willing to place down his gloves and explicitly state that this was going to be his last time stepping into the cage. When asked about the possibility of Poirier retiring, Dana White had this to say.
Yeah, it's fun. He did say in the cage that he thinks this might be it. Do you think he should walk away if he's talking like that, or do you think Dustin has more to offer the sport and you never know, he might be able to climb back to another title fight in the future?
Well, I think last time that we got together and talked after his fight, we were talking about Saint Denis and how he sort of flipped out. And, you know, I say this all the time. Fighters are a very paranoid bunch, you know. They're trying to get me beat or they're trying to do this. We don't do anything. We put on fights. Whether you win or lose is up to you. And I think that Dustin, coming out of the Saint Denis fight, had to have a lot more confidence than he had going in. You know, we put you in these positions to do great things and achieve greatness. And he was that close tonight, you know, coming back and possibly winning a world title.
Would you like to see him fight again?
It's up to him. It's not up to me. It's up to him. He knows what he wants, doesn't want. He knows how he felt. He knows how he feels right now. That's all up to him. Listen, he's a star. He can stay around here as long as he wants to.
If Dustin does decide to stick around, there are many potential fights that he could have. But there's one man in particular that's calling Dustin out, saying that this would be a great fight.
Just maybe, depending on what I'm doing and when, obviously I want to fight later in the year. I don't know exactly what's happening. I don't want to wait too long either. So if the timing works, maybe me and Dustin can, maybe have a good fight. I know he's like sort of, just wants good, fun fights. Obviously, we've got a lot of respect for each other, and I think that'll be a massive fight. So that's something that I'll be willing to do while I'm waiting for that featherweight title. Maybe a lightweight fight against someone like Dustin Poirier will be great. So you heard it here first. Maybe we can make something happen. Dustin, you're a legend. Keep your head up. That was a great performance still. And maybe we could have a little fun in there, have a little dance.
Speaking with Megan Olivier via the ESPN MMA YouTube channel after UFC 302, an emotional Dustin Poirier spoke about the gratitude he has not only for such an opportunity, but for his place in the sport despite a tough setback in Newark, New Jersey.
I'm not sure. After the Gaethje fight was a big test for me in my personal growth. Practicing mindfulness and practicing gratitude. Because I said it yesterday or whatever, the other day with you, without gratitude, nothing's ever enough. And my cup's full, my family's good, I have my health, they have theirs. I mean, I'm chasing dreams. I'm living the life that that I could have only imagined as a kid just by chasing my dreams. I came up short tonight and it hurts bad because like I said, I know I'm not going to get another chance. I'm probably not going to get another chance to be the undisputed world champion. And that meant a lot to me. And even in the fight, number one pound for pound guy, defending champion on a 13-fight win streak, I felt like every time I got off the stool, I was going to win. I felt like every time I got off the stool, I was going to find a way to win. And that's fighting.
Sean Strickland shouts out Donald Trump in post-fight interview following his UFC 302 victory over Paulo Costa.
President Trump, you're the man, bro. It is a damn travesty what they're doing to you. I'll be donating to you, my man. Let's get it done.
The former world champion called his shot for a rematch against Dricus du Plessis for the middleweight title after the victory.
Now, Sean, this puts you in an awesome position. You had a very close loss to Dricus du Plessis for the title. You're back now. Give us your thoughts on what we want to see from you next. I want to fight for the belt. Hey, I was a company man. I fought a ranked 7th guy. Give me it now. I did it for you guys. Give me that title shot. Well, I want to see that title shot for sure. Thank you, Rogan.
But speaking with Joe Rogan in the cage, he admitted that the bout wasn't the barn burner that both men had promised.
A little bit of a scare with that one judge's scorecard, but I think the rightful decision was made and you got the fight. But it was a good fight. It was a boring fight, man. Sorry, guys. That Brazilian goes backwards fast. He's hard to catch. I'm not known for being athletic, but I tried. You guys saw I wanted to do a little bit more, but I tried. Well, you kept the pressure on him, the teeps to the body, the constant forward motion. Were you surprised that he did move backwards so much? No, I thought we were going to have a war. I thought we were going to fight. He was gonna, you know, I don't know what happened to Costa. He's the man, bro. He represents America. I respect you for that, but don't back up next time, please.
He then made his feelings about former President Donald Trump clear after 45 was convicted this week on 34 felony counts in a New York court. Following the UFC 302 co-main event, Dana White slammed David Torelli for his extremely controversial scorecard that he turned in following the fight. Although the fight largely received criticism for its lack of action, the biggest criticism was with David Torelli, one of the assigned judges. Chris Lee scored all 5 rounds for the former champion, which was well warranted, with Sal D'Amato scoring 4 rounds for Strickland. Torelli, though, scored the contest 49-46 in favor of the Brazilian, going totally against the grain and highlighting his inexperience in scoring big fights. UFC CEO Dana White slammed Torelli for his scoring of the co-main event, stating that he should be sent back down to the minor leagues.
Co-main event, Sean Strickland beat Paulo Costa. There was kind of a weird judges' scorecard in there. They gave it to Paulo, I think.
It wasn't weird. It was fucking nuts is what it was. It's insane. That guy should never ref a big fight again. They should kick him back down to the minor leagues and let him work on his judging. It's unbelievable. I mean, how anybody who isn't an absolute fucking lunatic could call that fight a split decision. I don't even know what to say about that. It's insane. That guy shouldn't be judging big fights.
What did you think of Sean Strickland's performance? He said he wanted to do more, but Paulo was running away from him and he couldn't engage in him. What did you think of his performance?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the fight I expected. I mean, every time you see Paulo Costa in a fight, it's a war. You know, he usually goes to war. But you could tell tonight he couldn't get off. Brilliant kicking that leg the way he did. Strickland's tough as hell. Was eating those leg kicks, you know, all night. Has he been in here yet? No? Yeah, I'm wondering how he's walking because, you know, I haven't heard anything, but he did some big damage to that front leg. And, you know, I thought he fought a beautiful, perfect fight. I mean, he's a very awkward guy to fight and how he throws those teep kicks and his hands are so good. He's very elusive and beautiful jab. And he basically picked Costa apart and shut him down.
And for Paulo, you know, on the broadcast, Joe Rogan said he feels that Paulo hasn't been the same since he lost to Israel and he maybe lost a bit of confidence and doesn't fight the way he used to. Do you agree with that assessment, or do you think maybe Paulo's just trying to find different ways to fight?
No, I think that I expected him to come in and turn it into a street fight eventually. You know, maybe they had my thought process in the first 2 rounds, I was like, okay, they have a game plan that he's sticking to. He's chopping that front leg, trying to get him, and then he's going to turn this into an absolute street fight, and the street fight never came. I think that Strickland was way too unorthodox for him and kept that jab in his face and kept pressure on him basically the same way he did Izzy.
Where was that Paulo Costa that said he was going to bring that fight at the press conference, brother? Respect to Paulo Costa, respect to anybody that gets there. But
I actually really like him, and it was kind of hard to bring the animosity to fight him just because I fucking like him so much. But you never know how good somebody is until they fight somebody good. So when you see him fight Whitaker, when you see him fight Luke Rockhold, and you see him put it on these guys, well, they're not me.
They're not you, brother. And I think what was even weirder for us, I mean, there was Costa not showing up almost, but somebody gave him the fight.
Yeah, dude, the judges here are fucking nuts, man. You let them go to the judges, and, you know, you're fucked if you let some go to the judges. As we know with my belt, I let it go to the judges, I got fucking robbed. You know, Dana, the world says I won, but the judges, man, they're fucking bureaucrats, who knows?
Does it annoy you a little bit that, like, obviously you want the rematch, but it probably wasn't the fight you wanted to get the rematch, right?
No,
I mean, you come out unscathed.
Every time you lose, I could have done a couple things. I could have sat on my ass and bitched and said I won that and pulled an Izzy and just waited till they called me. Or I could have got out there and, you know, fought to get it back. And I fought to get it back and I did it. Now let me get it.
What was the message to Donald Trump?
Oh, man, you know, fucking A, dude. It's insane what happens going to do. It's fucking insane, bro. Like, America's starting to look like a banana republic. Like, the fact that we let this happen is a stain on this country, and I don't know if we will ever be able to erase it. It is a black mark, so, you know, it's a damn shame, man. It's a damn shame they do that to this republic.
But it was nice to see him come here and get an ovation, wasn't it?
Oh, man, dude, 32 felonies later, the man's front row in a seat cheering us on. You know, if you don't want that man to be president, who do you want? You know, it's crazy.
Kevin Holland delivered an arm-snapping submission finish over Mikhail Oleksiejczuk at UFC 302 live on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. Oleksiejczuk scored the bigger shots in the early going, but Holland quickly locked up an armbar. Holland has a record of submission stoppages, so Oleksiejczuk was in instant trouble. Holland turned Oleksiejczuk over, cranked his arm, and snapped it in gruesome fashion. Oleksiejczuk continued to fight before referee Herb Dean intervened, and Holland exited the octagon to have a word with Trump alongside the octagon, sharing a moment in the USA chants before his ring out. This was a perfect way for Holland to rebound and inject some life into the UFC 302 main card. Although it's difficult to watch any fighter suffer any gruesome injury in the octagon, Chael Sonnen says if you're sitting there blaming Herb Dean for not stopping the fight sooner, you should stop.
Anybody at home right now putting down Herb Dean? Because you would be wildly out of bounds to do so. Oh my goodness, Herb Dean gets put in the hardest spots. Oh my goodness, I have never seen a referee get put in harder spots. Herb Dean got put in a colossally tough position, and Herb was put there 14, 15, 16, 17 years ago. Frank Mir versus Tim Sylvia. Frank Mir has the armbar, Tim Sylvia does not tap. Herb Dean stops the fight. Place goes crazy. That includes the boss. They show it on replay. Warsari has the crew put it up on replay so we can all get pissed off at Herb Dean. Well, on replay, when they zoom in, it popped. Tim Sylvia's bone broke, and when it broke, it popped up to the skin, and it showed it on the replay. And the whole building that was booing Herb all of a sudden goes, and I bring that to you because, you know, Herb Dean's the one that gets caught in the Askren Lawler situation, and now Herb Dean is caught in this situation. He's handling these things perfectly. He really is. It is a colossally difficult thing to answer. Right? Renzo Gracie dealt with this with Sakuraba. Jamal Hill dealt with this. And, you know, when he's fighting Craig does this arm style technique. And these guys, whether it's Renzo or it's Holland's guy tonight, whether it's Tim Sylvia, whether it's Jamal, they all had one thing in common. They could no longer use their arm. No, they had two things in common. And they tap. So what do? If you're the referee and you let it go, and you know enough about the sport to know it's going to break. However, per the authority and the rules that you have, do you let it break? Because at that point, you can deem he is injured and I'm not going to let this fight go on. Right? Just like you bring a doctor and there's too much blood coming down, or there's too much swelling and it blocks his eye and therefore hinders him. When a guy's arm is broken to the point that he cannot lift it up, it is now dangling. He's lost all control. It's as though it's paralyzed. He cannot go on. So if you're Herb and you see that position and the fighter's made a very clear choice, which is I am not going to tap. And Herb is going, well, I don't have a mechanism where I can stop the fight if you don't tap. However, I know the same as you know that it's going to break. And what is the point of that? Why would any of us do that? Well, that's back where the ball's in the fighter's court. Herb did the right thing. Each one of those situations, Herb did the right thing. He did the right thing in the Lawler fight. He did the right thing in the Tim Sylvia fight. I'm just saying, you got to slow down a little bit before you judge. Herb, and then what comes next for Kevin Holland? I mean, he's everybody's favorite fighter, but he's got the right to be. He deserves to be. You know, I'm happy to see him do well, and that's not because I want to see the opponent get hurt. I damn sure don't want to see somebody get injured. But Kevin Holland, man, his reward for doing things that other guys aren't willing to do is that he gets asked to do more things that other guys aren't willing to do. So whatever he does next, I'm sure it'll be big. And it's a great win.
Now let's take a look at the top 3 comments left on yesterday's video. Rappin' Ponzi7343 says, Conor's trying to sell his fights with Chandler. LOL, scumbag. Freethinker Unchained says, Conor's still pissed he can't beat the Diamond. And Jovu9000 says, Conor McGregor sucks. If you want your comments highlighted on tomorrow's video, simply comment down below. We'll highlight the top best comments, good, bad, or indifferent, and feature them in tomorrow's video. And that does it for today's video, but make sure you're liking this video, subscribing to this channel, and clicking the bell notification so you can get notified every time we drop a new video. And in case you missed it, check out yesterday's news.